it was very interesting. You said you should start with funeral directors quite far away from where you live so that you can get a chance to practice your sales patter, as it were, how you can practice communicating, how your skills are transferable. And because as you get closer to home, which is more important, you'll get better at it. And as it happens, the first funeral director I met was the first one to offer me a funeral, and it's miles out of town. but
Yeah.
it was just a wonderful accolade to the
Yeah.
training I'd had. The first person I spoke to offered me a funeral, and then it was hard. It's been hard graft. There's been a lot of work, but there's never really been a time at which the work that I've done hasn't produced the results, even if those results are only in the beginnings of a relationship, which I know if I continue to cultivate will yield hopefully to something in the future as well.
Yeah.
But I've
So let's
taken,
just go back to when you actually completed your training then. So you did
yeah,
that in August.
yeah.
And
So I
again,
was,
what would you say were the key reasons why you chose funeral celebrant training with Celebrant Training School as opposed to other courses out there?
clarity. There were lots of other people saying, "Oh, I'm doing a training course. I was awarded the best celebrant of the year in 2020," and I just thought somebody's made an award for celebrants, and who judges it? And like, they've probably started their own organization and given themselves an award. It's like, and they were also residential and a little bit wishy-washy. There was no clear communication of what points of reference were going to be delivered. It was all about being very special and learning how to, do this and being associated with these people who are brilliant. But there was nothing really about the marketing. There was nothing about getting the work. And as an actor, I know there's a very clear difference between being able to do a job very, very well and being able to get the work doing it. And the two
Yeah.
have got very little to do with each other.
Yeah.
And so, that was the key thing. It's like I had full confidence you'd be able to teach me what I needed to know. But much, 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 much more important was the fact that you came from a teaching background in the first place and that you had been teaching marketing. And now you were applying what you had learned as an educator to the application of that theoretical knowledge to a practical situation. You'd done it yourself. And now you were sharing that information with other people with
Yeah.
both a good intention, but also a commercial intention, which makes you eminently trustworthy because you've got a very good reason for me to succeed.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're another celebrant doing, what reason do you really have? There's an integrity about the way the course is presented and lined up that I found deeply appealing, and I thought it would work.
Excellent. So you started it in August. Did you say the end of August you
Yeah,
started?
so I I kind of made a decision to do it probably in the first week of August. Collected some money together by the second week of August, and then I think I had 10 days. I had to travel at the very end of August. That's right. Then this is what happened. I had 10 days to travel, and I had 10. I'd given myself 10 days to do the course. I had to go to Malaysia on the first or the second of September. So I thought I have 10 days, and then what happened is I booked a filming job on the Count of Monte Cristo, and that was in Italy. So I had to go there three. I had to leave 3 days earlier, so I only had a week.
Is
So I
that the
had
film that's just out now then?
it's a series. It's just coming out now. The one directed by
Ah,
Billy August.
yeah,
Yeah, and so I had a week to do it,
right.
and so then I was able to focus on that. I booked, and what I did was I booked the examination where you have to give the funeral live to an audience. I booked that, so then I had to work against that deadline and get everything done from then.
Yeah.
So I managed to clear enough time, and then watch and do all the practice and do everything that was needed to sort of,
So you managed to do it in 6 days.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us about you then had a delay before you then actually, because you did all this traveling and other
Yeah,
acting work before you then actually
yeah,
started to apply the marketing side of stuff. So tell
yeah.
us about that in more detail.
Yeah, I was in Malaysia traveling for a month because it was a replacement for a holiday we were supposed to have had during lockdown. It was my birthday and I was born in Malaysia. So we traveled in Malaysia for a month. And then I was in India for a total of 3 months. I was back and forth a little bit, but there was 2 months filming. And and then I was back in UK for Christmas. And then January, there was a little bit going on. So I suppose it was towards the end of January that I started to it was no, it was in January I started to pull the marketing materials together. So first of all, I had to write the up marketing materials, um, get a little web, get the website up, and get my sort of my care plan, just following the steps. And I went to the map shop in Covent Garden and got them to print me out a big map of Southeast London.
Right.
And my wife is saying, why are you doing bits of paper all that? But there's something really special about just having it down. And then I started research, and it's quite arduous finding all the funeral directors. There's a lot of them in London. So then I know somebody who's doing some work for the company, and so I gave him the job. I gave him 50 quid to research and find out the funeral directors near me. But he did a half decent job, and then I had a list of 30 odd funeral directors near me, and crematoria and stuff like that. And so I had my map, and I had my little stickers on it where the funeral directors were, and I got my marketing materials together. And then it was a question of finding time, because at this time, I started, so from January I was then teaching for 2 days a week at a university. I had my yoga classes going on as well, and I was running a company. I still am running a small tech company that takes time. And my wife was pregnant, now has a baby, and so there was at least there was weekly appointments, and like a lot of appointments. So I had from sort of I was in action from February onwards, but I only really had maximum like a day and a half, sometimes 2 days, sometimes only one day, to go and make the visits to the funeral directors. And I started off, making the telephone calls and booking appointments and going to meet them,
Yeah.
taking them there and doing my thing. And then so through February, March, I was making those, and I think March was I booked my first funeral. It was either around late March,
Yeah.
and then I booked one, then booked another one from, and the big difference that happened for me was when I went into one small family funeral director, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to give you a funeral if I haven't seen you work." And I thought, fair enough. And he said, and he was quite nice. I know this other celebrant. You might, you could come and watch her work. And somebody might give you. He says, I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you. He says, you should go to the. Like, what are the words he used? He basically go and work in the trenches, which meant go and work for the bigger firms, which in London are the dignity ones, and they're usually under different umbrellas. You've got
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
ones. Francis Chapel are the ones that's local to me, and then there's a co-op, which is the co-op, there, and then there's another organisation called Funeral Partners, and they're the ones who have larger groups of offices, and they do volume. And the co-op were great. I went to them, and they gave me my first. They gave me the first funeral that I did. The family funeral directors in southwest London that I went first. They gave me the funeral first, but it was actually after. The date was after so my first actual funeral was a co-op funeral.
Right.